So we'll be starting with the Steadicam. Let me yeah, I'm trying to zoom out. There's so many cameras. Oh, I need to figure out which where's. Okay, so he's putting on the torso thing right now. This is what the Steadicam, the vest. So this is what the Steadicam hooks up to.
It is tight.
Yeah, you want to make sure it's really tight too.
Not this tight.
Oh.
This is uncomfortable tight. Somebody skinnier than me was using this last. All right, that's better. A little more comfortable.
Yeah.
All right, so when you're putting on the Steadicam, can you aim up a little bit?
Yes.
When you're putting on the Steadicam, you're going to start with the vest. You're going to make all your straps nice and snug, but not tight enough that you're cutting off circulation. This front piece is all metal because it does help with balancing. Hey guys.
We're starting.
Molly, just so you know I've started. It's okay. You can adjust this mounting point where the Steadicam actually goes up or down to fit your comfort level. It's most comfortable right at your waist so that you can understand that helps with the balance the best, because what this does is distributes it down my back to my waist so that I'm not using my back to hold up the camera, because that would kill my back in a matter of a couple of minutes. And when this is not balanced well, you only want to wear it for about 15 minutes. But when it is balanced well, you can go for a couple of hours before needing a break. It attaches by a pin, which is right here. So you guys can see that. I'm gonna grab my phone, turn it on. I'm gonna go ahead and attach it to the vest. It's gonna be right here. Line these two up, pin in, just like that. And then when you're going to get the camera, you can leave this on your body. Come over. If you have an assistant, they can pick up the camera for you. If not, you can do it yourself. Grab it by the bar.
Do you need help?
You're gonna put this onto the pin. And that's what balances the whole camera setup.
Is it on already?
The next important part, once you get it on, is your control points. You do have a couple of suspension pieces you can adjust to help with the weight. This is my main control hand for the arm, and then this is my main control for the actual Steadicam itself. You'll notice I'm only using two fingers here, my index finger and my thumb. And that's because the way this is set up, it's balancing for me. All I'm doing is directing it where I want it to shoot. Now, when you're using this, you have a 7-inch monitor down here. That's your reference monitor. You want to show them that real quick? Hard to tell what it is, but the hard part about learning how to use a Steadicam is learning how to use that as your reference for what you're shooting and a reference of where your feet are being placed. So if you're able to, you aim that at the TV and I'll show them an example. Milton, can I steal you? Yes. I'm gonna walk forward and I'll track you. Cool. Okay. You able to get that?
Yeah.
Cool. Were they able to see that on Zoom?
Yeah. Try it one more time.
Wait. Oh, no, yeah, you were able to see that. Cool.
Yeah.
That's the basics. The hardest part about using this is balancing it, which can take up to an hour to actually do. And that's what we have the C-stand here for. Can you widen the shot so we can see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're using a C-stand as our base for this. Start over here using the very top of it. That's where you mount the camera. And then it goes on this pin to balance it, which is exactly the same type of pin as this, so that you can figure out all your axes. Another thing to note is that you can run all your power from this. I'm gonna come in close. There's the DC power here that you can plug into your camera, and then it runs down the shaft to this V-mount plate, which is down here. And I'm using a D-tap cable to power my monitor. But in theory, the whole rig can be run from a V-mount. Now, I will say, if you're running an FS7 on this, I don't believe we have the right cable to do that. Still gonna have to use built-in batteries. I put built-in batteries anyway, just in case this is close to dead, I don't lose my camera feed. Now, I don't think this vest is on correctly because it does not feel good right now, so I'm gonna take it off. So this is where we would start. It's over here. That's where you would actually mount it to the plate and where you would do your fine or your rough adjustments. And then pick the whole thing up, come over here so that you can actually balance it the way it would be on the vest. And that is so that you can test this axis, you can test your roll, and you can test front to back, side to side. Now, front to back, I'm gonna come up close. I'm gonna take the vest off. I can show you this arm. This can also live right here.
Yeah, that's what this pin is used for here.
And your pin can go right there. So over here, your controls left or right are right here on either side. And your front to back is on the other side, right here. So if I rotate this, it will move the plate back and forth. If I rotate these two, the camera will move this way. And there are bubble levels on both to help you with balancing. Right now we are actually out of balance.
Yeah, we're unbalanced.
Which,
It happens when you put it on.
yeah. Oh, I went too much. Hold on.
It's very delicate.
Yes. So you want to show them. When you're making adjustments on this, all you should have to do is twist just a little bit. If you go too far, you're going to have to completely readjust the whole thing, and it does take a second for it to figure out what you did. So side to side is level is back here. Front to back is over here.
So there's the first level.
And your second bubble's over here. Now, some people are probably questioning how I got a signal on the TV. That's through a Steadicam down here, which we have attached with a RAM mount straight to the pole. And then we're going HDMI in from the camera through the pole, and we're going HDMI out to the Steadicam. That's basically it for the Steadicam. The next part that's really crucial that I'll show you without the camera and why it takes so much practice to actually get a good shot. When I'm walking normally, I'm doing this. I'm exaggerating, but your body is bouncing up and down. When you're walking with a Steadicam, the best way to describe it, you can show my feet. As I roll off, my foot this to compensate for that bounce. When you're running, you have to learn how to not bounce. So you're running as straight as you can if you're going to do a running shot with this. Now, something else that's a good thing to note, you can shoot with this and have it completely sideways. So you're staring at the camera this way, but you still have your peripheral vision this way. So I can run like this and track sideways. I can also choose to aim the camera backwards and still be walking forwards when I'm doing a track. So you can do a forward track, a back track, or a side track, all with the same setup without changing too much. Now, another thing that can be interesting, if you rebalance this for a specific type of shot, you can do this. Why would I want to do this? Well, if I did this and pulled it all the way down, I can get a tracking shot of your feet with the exact same setup. But it will take some rebalancing to do that.
You'll have to flip it in post, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
you would have to flip the shot in post. That's the basics. Anybody have any questions?
Does anybody on Zoom have any questions?
Can you still use the V-mount adapter for the FS7 on that?
You could. You'd have to offset your balance by putting the V-mount plate on there so you can run power to the camera. But it's going to change your back to front and probably your top to bottom balance, which, as you can see, we had to come up a lot on the column. That was to account for the tear deck. Usually this is closer to about 3 inches from the top. But because we put the tear deck with the extra weight, we had to go a little top heavy.
Okay.
Good question, Ariana.
Are you still using the small monitor on top?
Yeah, only for settings.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm using this as my reference for actual shots.
I see.
And it does take a little bit of doing to figure out how to position your head to see around this pole.
Oh,
But once you get it figured out, it's really easy. I do recommend a 7-inch. A 5-inch would be even harder to see. Have I missed anything, Jonathan? That's pretty much it.
There's some like vest balance and stuff.
so you don't
You want
need
to show
additional
the
weights?
balances? Well, since I'm here, or do you want to put it on so you can show it?
So just real quick, I mean, I'm not gonna go super in depth and it should be mostly set, but there's 2 more balance axes on the vest itself. So it's, so you have it on you and you're wearing the vest and it's away from you and then the side to side. And you'll adjust those by, there's these little twist knobs. There's one there and then there's ones up here on the sides in it that move the actual connection, the knuckle that connects to the arm. It tilts it this way, tilts it this way, and it tilts it this way. And that adjusts the forward and the back and the side to side.
That's probably why my back hated me a second ago.
Maybe. Because, you know, if it's on you and then you let it go, it'll try and like move away from you.
Yes.
And that'll put strain on you. You want it so that if you hold it and then you let go, it should, for the most part, stay relatively easily where you leave it.
Yeah. Like I said, if you want to actually use this in a shot, you're going to need to come and get trained on how to balance it and put it on the first time. And then I would check it out and actually practice with it for several hours, because it's going to be something that takes a little bit of doing. But once you do, this is what people have been using since the 70s, since The Godfather, because it gives you that natural glide look. The other thing I didn't mention is you need to pan while you're shooting. You can do that. That's what your 2 fingers are for. So let's say that I'm going around a corner. I can move my body around the corner, or I can pan just slightly with my fingers. But this does not get replaced by a gimbal. A gimbal has another function, but a lot of people think that gimbals just replace this. It has not. Steadicam operators make good money every single day doing this on set. You can make a really good living at this if you get it down. So, cool. We're gonna move on to a gimbal now. Next piece is going to be an actual gimbal. This is the Ronin S. Probably the most popular one right now because it can balance small cameras really easily in only about 10 or 15 minutes if you know what you're doing. I have an A7S on here. Unfortunately, I can't show you the picture that's coming straight out of the camera, but I can show you what you would do. It's pretty self-explanatory. The difference between a gimbal and a Steadicam is how you're balancing. That's using mechanics and a lot of weight distribution and mostly hydraulics and springs in the actual arm to get your steady shot. Gimbals use electronic motors to do that. And this one has 3 on all 3 axes. Now, that one has a few more axes to worry about. You still have to worry about them on here. But this is good for getting into tiny little corners. And this does not require the walk that the Steadicam does. The Steadicam is amazing, but if you need a shot and you can't get certified on that in a matter of a week, this is another option. The reason for that is I can run with this as fast as I needed to get a shot, and it will stabilize for me. So it can be helpful. But like I said, they're 2 different tools and they have different means of accomplishing the same thing. Real quick on the S, if you want to show them the, let's show them the controls. There's a joystick on here to actually control and manipulate what direction the camera's going. I can also use the gimbal itself to manipulate that, but if I need to fine tune, that's a good way to do it. There is 3 modes on here. There's mode 1, 2, and 3. 1 is the most reactive, am I correct?
1 is the slowest.
The slowest, okay, so it's the least reactive.
Yes.
2 is a little more reactive, where it's got some more stiffness to it. So if I'm running, 2 is a good one. 3 is kind of your sport mode, where it will be the stiffest of all 3 and try to run alongside a character or back. And if they whip around a corner, I'll whip around with them. So if you're looking for a fast whipping shot, that's how to do it. There is a trigger here. I hit it twice, it'll go to home position. Remind me what 3 times does.
Triple tap is the vlogger mode.
Points it back at myself. Blah, 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 blah. We're not doing that here. So there is a flashlight mode as well.
Yeah, you have to be in mode 2.
Mode 2, okay. And you can set this to basically like this, and I can follow down low, which is helpful for foot shots. If you're tall enough, you can also get high shots. And this is helpful because this is the base, but it's also a second handle. Because if you just had this, kind of limited. But it's important to note that you can just come over here and set that down when your arm's getting tired, versus you do need an extra person to do that with the Steadicam. However, the biggest thing to note with gimbals is weight. The S is only meant to hold, I want to say 5 to 6 pounds, maybe not even. It balances best with mirrorless cameras and DSLRs. You could put a pocket on here, but you need an adapter plate to actually make it fit because it's too long. Let me think what else I need to cover. The balancing is a similar attempt as this. You're going to work on your front and back axes, left, right, and then your top, bottom, and then your roll. Now your roll is basically whenever I move side to side at a strange angle. If that's not set correctly, it will start turning on you and turning, and you'll have to rebalance. That's mostly on the bottom here for if it's actually balanced on your diagonal. Oh, wow. Can't think of the right word for it. What's that axis called? It's just the roll, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There is a thumb wheel here that if you connect correctly to some cameras, it will be able to wirelessly pull for you without the need of a wireless follow focus. So I don't remember exactly off the top of my head which cameras are able to do it.
It's a long list, but the A7S is not on there.
Okay, so that's the important note. This camera's not on there. However, if you own a camera that is, you can plug this in and use it with that camera, but it has to be set to the right settings. Is there a cable you have to attach, or is it just the settings?
You have to run a cable.
From here to here, right?
It goes into your camera.
Okay, so it's usually a USB cable that's a control for the wireless. Like I said, very limited on which cameras it covers. But it's an option because then when I'm running, I can pull focus as I'm doing it. The trick, if you don't have that, is to stop down and to go to just close to infinity. That will get almost everything in shot, except for like right up next to the lens. So you should be able to still be able to get good, sharp shots without a focus puller. That's the old school way of doing it. You do need to be on a wide angle lens, obviously, because if you're on an 85 and you do that, you're still gonna be soft. So at 24 or 35. Anything I didn't cover?
Can you put like a bigger camera on that?
No.
Like, do they make them for bigger cameras?
They do. They
Okay.
make different versions. Well, there's one over there. We do have another one that's out of commission right now that could balance something like the FS7,
Okay.
but it's currently not functioning.
Cool.
So Steadicam's the way to go right now.
Cool.
I'm gonna go ahead and put this down. So like I said, this is probably only gonna fit the A7R or A7 III from the cage itself, what we have available. I just not in light. I'm super dark.
Sorry.
Okay, if you want to balance a bigger camera, like you want a better shot, say you want 10-bit and 1080, the FS5 is a good way to do that, but you have to use a different gimbal. I think he's still working on that gimbal. We might need a minute.
I tried. It wasn't working.
It's okay. The FS5 is the hardest to balance of the cameras that do fit on there. I need to look it up, but the M can handle cameras up to 7 or 8 pounds. Don't think that means you can put an FS7 or an EVA1 on it. It will kill the motors. It will literally start smoking and making noise, and it will eventually shut off and stop functioning.
So 300, it won't hold the C300.
I don't believe so, unfortunately. C300 Mark II? I didn't think so. I think that's a bit too heavy. So the M is great if you're using the FS5, or you could potentially put an A7 on there and just have better control. So this is very top bottom heavy. This you can balance with an easy rig and take away the weight, and you have your hands up here. So in some ways you have more control. In other ways you don't, because you don't have a joystick readily available on there, but there is a remote that someone else can assist you with that. But I think we're gonna take a quick break while he figures that out. All right, we're gonna do the Ronin M if you wanna come in, because I'm gonna have to mess with that too much.
Where do you want me to stand?
Right here is fine. This is the Ronin M, very different beast than the S. It does have a top handle and 2 side handles. And it's a much bigger package, but it does the exact same thing as the S, just balancing on a different point. We have the FS5 on here with a zoom lens. Tough part about these is that you technically need to mount a monitor up here to properly see what you're shooting. But you can get away with the LCD if you set it up properly. So, is the top handle backwards on this right now? Or is that the way I should have it?
That's the way you should have it.
Okay. Like this?
I believe so.
Okay. This is the balancing stand that you're going to use. Instead of the actual base on the S, there's a whole stand so that you can rest it when you're taking breaks and pull it back out. I'm going to go get something else that we like to use with this that we have in the cage.
The backpack. You want me to come over there?
No, I'm going to come over there. is called an easy rig. You can see right there. And an easy rig is a fancy pants backpack that will help you offset the weight of a gimbal or a camera. You can do both. It does have 2 straps. There's this chest strap. Boy, is that tight. Okay. And there's a waist strap, which whole thing feels, okay. Why do small people not adjust things? All right. Let's tighten this up. Cool. There are a couple of controls on the back here, but this is the main talking point. It has a clip, if you want to come in close. This clip is what you're going to attach the camera or Ronin to. And it does clamp down once you're done. It's adjustable by doing this. You can move it back or forth on the tension rod and loosen this and move it into position. Depending on how tall you are, you can also adjust back here. There's 4 knobs, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top, that will help you actually move this whole shaft up or down so that you don't have ½ an inch of clearance or bonking your head on it. It also helps with the weight distribution. As far as the tension, there's a knob back here that I can change to increase or decrease tension. And what we're going to do with it is come up to it, open my clamp, put it on the top handle, tighten, lift it off. Now, if your tension is correct, it should just sit here if you need it to. But obviously you're not going to shoot like that. What that does is gives me the freedom of movement without the weight. So I can control it by doing this as much as I need to. Now, all the Ronins have an app that can help adjust the tension, the strength, and it can actually kill the motors if you're having issues. The M's in the cage, I have not been able to connect to either app. Still investigating why. But on the S, I can show you how to do that on your phone. There's an app that'll let you control all the parameters. With this guy, someone else can be on set holding your remote. You want to show them that?
Oh, but you want me to?
It has multiple axes, so you want to show?
Sure. What am I doing?
So watch what the camera does. Push that up.
You want me to look at the camera or
This one.
Oh, this one up?
So you can control your tilt or your pan. You go side to side. The other one is going to control your roll. So if you, there you go. Now you shouldn't have to control your roll, but if you're off kilter on your shot, that's a good way to offset it. And this comes with every kit. There are a couple of different modes for how you interact with it. I think that mostly changes which of these does what.
Okay.
But know that it's there, so you don't have to use the gimbal to try to get it to change the tilts, which right now I'm way high. So this is a good example of an assistant helping you out. There is a thumb wheel available for the Ronin M that you can control your focus with. We don't have the right pieces to put that on here right now, but just know that it's out there if you ever shoot with it. And obviously this tension arm can go all the way down here if I needed to. So any questions on the M or the Easy Rig?
I hear a little noise. Is it normal?
So with the M, with this camera, we're getting a little bit of noise. You start hearing it really fighting itself, it'll sound like a shut it off and rebalance.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it will smoke or destroy the motors.
Right now it's just having some trouble. It's not balanced perfectly.
So it should be quiet inside.
It should be mostly quiet. You'll hear a little bit like the fan running.
Now, one thing to note, you can get away with being a little bit off balance on a gimbal. You can get away with it really on the Steadicam, but what happens is your body pays for it on the Steadicam. So the better it's balanced, the better you feel on set. The better this is balanced, the better the motors feel.
Yeah.
The difference is motors cost money. Muscles can heal after time. So it's best to try to balance this as best as you possibly can before you take your first shot. If you hear the motors fighting it, take another shot and let somebody else balance for you. I will say in past, it's been kind of a no-no to check out 2 cameras for a shoot. I'm okay with 2 cameras as long as the second one is a smaller package. Don't take 2 FS5s, 2 FS7s, 2 EVA1s. But you could check out a 5 and a 7, so that this can be your dedicated Ronin camera, or an A7 for your Ronin camera shots. That way you can do that, because I know how much of a time saver that is on set. But I can't hand out 2 FS7s because that means another project can't shoot. So anybody online have any questions? Ariana?
No, I'm okay.
Cool. All right. That pretty much wraps up the me talking portion. I'm going to go ahead and end the Zoom call here in a second. And you guys are welcome to actually play with the deer when I put it down. Cool. Thank you, Ariana. Thank you.